Have you ever found yourself in a relationship just wondering? Wondering if what you're feeling is really love? Well, in this explainer, we're going to put together a super practical guide to help you spot what isn't healthy love, which hopefully gives you a much clearer path to finding what is.
Okay, let's just start by flipping the whole thing on its head. What if asking, "Is this love?" is actually the wrong question to begin with? Maybe the real answer isn't in some label, but in a feeling. How a connection actually makes you feel, from one moment to the next.
It is so easy to fall into this trap. I think we've all been there. Chasing after someone who just gives you the absolute bare minimum. And then, when they finally toss you a little scrap of attention, that rush, it can feel like genuine care. But we have to be honest with ourselves. A moment of attention is just not the same thing as consistent, real care.
So, how can you tell the difference? Well, it all starts by learning to trust your own internal compass. Let's dive into what a healthy connection is really supposed to feel like on the inside.
Just look at this contrast right here. On one side, you've got these relationships that feel more like a hard lesson. They're all about anxiety, confusion, that constant feeling like you have to prove yourself. It feels like begging. But then you look at the other side. That's love. And what does that feel like? Calm, safety, the feeling of just being seen. It should feel as natural as breathing.
This, right here, really gets to the heart of it all. Love shouldn't be a constant struggle. It's not supposed to feel like an uphill battle. If you are always fighting just to be noticed, something is definitely off. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? The right relationship should fill you up. It should replenish your energy, not suck it all away. It should remind you of exactly who you are, not make you feel like you're losing yourself just trying to make someone else happy.
Okay, so we've talked about tuning into our internal compass. Now let's start looking outward. This next part is basically a practical checklist for avoidance. We're talking about specific, observable behaviors that are just major red flags. Psychologists might have fancy terms for these, but we can just think of them as clear warning signs.
All right, the first huge warning sign is a constant resistance to accountability. This is someone who just will not, under any circumstances, take responsibility for their actions and how those actions affect you. And you'll see this clear cycle start to form. Any kind of criticism, no matter how gently you phrase it, gets labeled as rude. They'll immediately turn it back on you with, "Well, it's not like you're perfect either." They give you these flimsy apologies, promise they'll change, but then the behavior just happens all over again. They become absolute masters at creating chaos and then using some sentimental apology to pull you right back in. Now, this next red flag is just as damaging, but it's often way more subtle. You have to watch out for someone who consistently dismisses your feelings, who makes you feel like your own emotional reactions are totally wrong or unreasonable.
This is classic gaslighting right here. They'll slap these negative labels on you for having completely normal needs. You're anal because you want a clean space. You're controlling because you want to spend quality time together. If you get uncomfortable with their flirting, well, you're just a prude. And maybe the most destructive one of all is when they constantly tell you that you're imagining things. It's a tactic designed to make you completely lose faith in your own judgment. This next point is so important to understand. A lot of the time, their behavior has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's really being driven by their own deep, unacknowledged, unresolved issues. And this can show up in so many ways. They might be totally clueless about how hard they are to live with. Or maybe they're projecting anger from old wounds onto you. Sometimes they've built up these huge walls of self-doubt that make any real connection impossible. The point is, they're so caught up in their own internal storm that they can't even see the incredible gift of your time and your love. Okay, I know that checklist can feel a little heavy, but the point isn't to get discouraged, it's to empower you. So let's talk about the path forward, because it's all about choosing your own peace over their fleeting attention. This is such a powerful way to reframe things. The goal of a partnership isn't to just endure hardship or to try and fix another person. The whole point is to be mutually delighted. It's about finding that shared joy, that respect, that appreciation for each other, not constant frustration and longing. So, how do you actually do this in the moment? It's really a simple 3-step process. Step 1, just pause. Take literally 3 seconds to check in with your body. Step 2, recognize what you're feeling. If it's anxiety, name it. That feeling isn't love. That's your survival instinct kicking in. And that brings us to step 3, choose. Consciously make the choice for your own peace over the temporary thrill of their attention.
And this is the incredible shift that happens when you finally make that choice for yourself. When you start prioritizing your own well-being, the entire dynamic just transforms. Love stops being this desperate act of begging, and it becomes as natural and as life-giving as breathing.
So let's end with this one powerful question to take with you. As you look at the different connections in your own life, just ask yourself this: if it doesn't feel like breathing, then what am I choosing instead?